there is an aspect of a person's development, maturity, call it his evolving from being a child, excuse me, that is his ability to get a read on reality. It's a big subject, but I think we can parse out just a little part of the subject. There's a reason why we we don't take testimony, we don't take edus from a child. And that's because a child hears or sees what he wants to see, and he can't see things in their proper perspective. So he exaggerates, he has biases, people that he likes, people that he doesn't like. And as a result, he can't give us a picture of reality. And this is true not just for children, but for adults who didn't really grow up much. So they are still stuck in bending reality, and they don't have an allegiance to reality. And you might say the reason why they don't have a lot of reality is because they don't want to know what is reality. But there's another part of the story, which is that they may have given up. People may have given up on reality because they know that we can never know all of reality. So, as much as a person might be curious, we can't know all of reality, because to know all of reality is to essentially become the Ribono Shel Olam. And as with all things about the Ribono Shel Olam, what he is, we are trying to become. So we're always on a road towards. That's what Dveikus really is. What Dveikus is that what he is, we are trying to become. That's why there are those who question, and it's almost funny that in the Adir Hu of that we say on the night of Pesach, so for the Lamed of Adir Hu, there are those who have the word Lamdan Hu, like that he sits there with his thumb and he bends his thumb to try to figure out the truth. And those who are a little bit more aware of what they're saying change it to Lamud Hu. We are Lamdanim. We are trying to learn. We are always trying to be what he already is. So one of those ways that we try to be what he is, of course, we try to do chesed. He is the ultimate source of chesed. We try to be a source of light. He is the source of light. We try to know the truth because he is the one who knows the truth. And we can never fully know the truth. I heard a beautiful thought this week as to why it is that Yosef said to the brothers that he's not going to take vengeance against them. It was said in the name of a saintly Hasidic Rebbe, whose name, unfortunately, I don't remember. And he said, Hasachas Elokim Anochi. Hashem, you thought of selling me, you thought badly. You thought of doing something bad. And Hashem turned it to something good to save everybody. So if I could take vengeance, I would have to take vengeance mida keneged mida. I would have to take vengeance the way the crime was committed, which means that I would have to do something to you that is bad that will definitely come out to be good. Well, I can't do that. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu can do that. Only Hashem can see in what is happening right now, which appears to be bad, he can see the good outcome. I can't do that. So my hands are tied. I can't take vengeance as much as perhaps it's appropriate in a midah keneged midah. I can't do it because what you did to me turned out good, but what I would do to you might turn out bad and just stay bad. So that would not be appropriate. Only Hashem can know that in every event, in every action that we take, Hashem sees all of the consequences, all of the precedents, everything about the present, future, and past are all in front of him. And so he sees where something that you're doing could lead to good or bad. Whereas when it comes to a human being, Chazal use the expression "ein lidayon elama she'einov roos." A judge only has what he can see, and he's not expected to have nevuah. He's not expected to know all of the potential outcomes of a given action or word. And that allows us to simply follow the Torah with an allegiance that says, I am doing what the Torah said to do. I can't tell you all of reality. The reason I can't tell you all of reality is because I can't see all of reality. I once asked the Rosh Hashiva Zatzal, Rav Henoch Leibowitz, I asked him about whether the 3,000 years of Chinese history, which is really a whole different calendar and a whole different culture, another world that was going on, could that be explained by the fact that the Jews were that the Jews from the yeshiva of Mir found refuge? Japan, China, could that be explained? And he said two things. He said, first of all, it could. And second of all, the story's not over. So the idea that we could know all of reality is an impossibility. So then why do we want to know the truth? The answer is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put that desire to know the truth in a human being is one of the calling cards. It's one of the ways that we can know that there's more. Because if we didn't have curiosity and we weren't trying to understand things that were beyond what we presently understand, we would be like the animals who are not trying to understand more of what is going, more of the world. The fact that we want to understand more is an indication that there is more. The fact that, for example, some of the other calling cards are infinity. What in the world does a human being have to do with infinity? What does a person have to do with eternity? And yet you see people leaving their finger marks in fresh cement, in fresh pavement. They put their finger marks because they want to leave a mark in the world. And they etch their initials into a redwood forest tree because it's hundreds of years old, because they want to remain. So why do you want to remain? And the answer is, I have a yearning to be eternal. There's another calling card. And how about the calling card of justice, where nobody has ever seen anything just in this world? The big ones eat the little ones. There's no justice in the world. So why do people still walk around with their picket signs, and they walk around and declare their allegiance to some sort of justice? And the answer is because it's one of the calling cards. The fact that we yearn for justice And we don't just accept that the big ones eat the little ones. We yearn for justice. Hashem put that in us so that we would know that ultimately there is justice. So we would know that in Hashem's world, which is the infinite world, which is the eternal world, that there is justice. And the same thing is true about reality. We have this desire to know more about reality because there is an ultimate reality. And that ultimate reality is in Him. And no one can access that except for Him. So that creates a certain amount of humility, but it also creates a mission. Because as much as we know that Hashem is the only one who can know the whole story, but we attempt to be like Him by trying to learn more of the story. And that's why it's not very satisfying for a person to learn a Gemara superficially. It's not very satisfying. When he digs in and he tries to learn it in depth and try to work out all of the nuances that he can per his ability, he feels far more satisfied. So, yeah, but you're not going to get it ultimately anyway. And the answer is, but that's not the point. The human mission is to try to approach knowing, even if we know that we cannot absolutely know, just like we approach doing chesed, even though we can't absolutely do chesed. And we accept our limitation. We know that we need siyata d'shmaya. A judge needs siyata d'shmaya just like every one of us does. We have no way of knowing if the move that we're about to make, the choice that we're about to make, takes into account all of the factors that might be influenced by the decision that we're about to make. If we knew everything, I guess if you knew everything, you could bet on tomorrow's stock market. The point is that we are always on a road towards. That being that is also part of maturing. Because a child cannot yearn to know truth. He might want to know whether things are going to work out for him. He might want to know if things are going to be good. But he can't want to know what's true. Because when you know about truth, that carries with it responsibility. If you know about truth, if, for example, at the world to come, let's say it wasn't so obscure. Let's say we all knew whatever we need to know and whatever there is to know about eternity. Well, then we would hardly have choices. We would certainly feel obliged. We would feel almost compelled. If I knew that something was going to happen, I would act accordingly. And that's where our responsibility increases. As we come to know more about reality, we turn to the Torah to reveal to us more about reality. And the more reality we know, the more responsible we become. A person who knows the dangers of certain activities has the obligation to refrain from those activities. And if he knows that there's certain activities that will produce positive outcomes, so then he's under obligation to pursue those. So the idea of pursuing reality is actually a feature of somebody who is maturing. And biases and exaggeration and making believe that one event somehow carries way, way more significance than it really does. I mean, how much significance is there to the fact that someone passed you on the highway? Really? How much significance? So why do people get so worked up about that somebody passed them, perhaps inappropriately, perhaps they cut them off? Well, what do you think, you're going to fix the world by honking at this guy? what do you think you're going to accomplish? And the answer is, I'm still a child. And I can't look at things with their proper, giving that its proper valence, its proper importance. I look at it as though somehow this is going to fix the world. And if I can get this thing straightened out, then everything's going to get straightened out. I can't let this guy get away with it. Whoa, that's a heavy burden that you're placing on this event. Surely that is not a reflection of reality. And so part of maturing is being able to see what really is a big deal and what is not. I recall as a youngster, I was in my 20s, I was speaking to Rav Soloveitchik. At the time, I was involved with a community in Rochester, and the first time I had been exposed to people who were not observing the laws of Shiva. It was a bit of a joke. I mean, there was a 1 day and there was a 3 day, and and there was party, and it was whatnot. It was quite a shock to me. And I remember speaking to him. I remember even where I was in Boston in the car with the Rav, and I said, and I knew that the Rav was very sensitive to the matters of Avelos. He spent the whole summer with us learning the halachos of Avelos and Tainus. And his first reaction to me was, Becker, it's not from the Gimel Chamuris. That was his first reaction, was, this is not one of the 3 cardinal sins. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't have a lot to say. He did. He had what to share with me about how to proceed. But his first response was, that's immature. The way that you are looking at this, with this lens, as if you've somehow expanded this one issue to encompass everything that is your mission in Rochester, it's not. You need to be able to put it into its proper perspective. And so his first response to me was, wait a second, it's not one of the 3 cardinal sins. So this is a feature of maturity that we can keep an eye on. As we try to get closer to reality, we are in fact taking and inching our way towards imitating Hashem and towards maturing as people.